Welcome back to another Overwatch Coach VOD review. We're going to get right into this one. So we're doing an Ana at Gold 2. Their intro is, I feel like I played so mediocre this game, but I also feel like I didn't know what else I could do. And I know some games are just not winnable, but even then, I feel like I wasn't doing my best. I would just like some tips on what more I should have done and what I shouldn't. I know I took some fights that I shouldn't have, but besides that, I'm not sure what I could have done. So, all right, it's a push map. Typically, these tend to snowball. Push is definitely my least favorite game mode in Overwatch 2. Personally, I'd like to see 2CP come back. Not to replace push, but maybe to give more variety and maybe water down the amount of push games people might actually get. It feels like in Season 2, they kind of lowered the weight of the amount of push games you might actually play in, because it feels like I play less of them, but I actually kind of prefer to play even less of it. I just don't find it the greatest game mode. It kind of turns into a walking simulator at some points. And because of that, because of the walking simulator side of things on these push maps, it's a reason why I'm not a big fan of Ana, and it's why I usually play Kiriko and Lucio the most, and sometimes Moira. I look more for heroes with some mobility to them on these maps, and then depending on what you're up against, then that's when like the Briggs and the Anas and the Zens and so forth kind of come into play. But I'm not saying don't play Mercy on these, not saying don't play Ana on these maps. Because with the amount of Roadhogs and other similar style tanks that are floating around out there, and in this case it's Junker Queen that you're going up against, which is kind of like a Roadhog light in a sense, those antis can be invaluable, and same with the sleeps because there's no shields blocking you from sleeping anything, so I get it. The only thing is that, you know, if you're getting pressured and if you find you're dying a lot, Ana might not be the best pick because you're going to spend all your time walking back to the team fights and stuff like that, unless you're just getting pushed into your spawn, at which point you're so far under the gun of a lopsided, you know, push scenario that you're probably not going to win anyway. So, it's just food for thought. Anyway, in terms of your team comp, I'd actually probably sub out the Ana for Mercy. For Echo and Genji, I feel like Mercy might, in the sense of the map style and pocketing the Echo, and then you could damage boost the Genji when he blades, I feel like that might get you more value than an immobile hero. However, I can totally see Ana working here, because they're not running shields, so you can get the antis and you can get the sleeps. And Nano for Genji when he blades is, you know, that's the combo is old as time pretty much. So I'm not saying don't play Ana here, but just as a suggestion for another hero you might have been able to play, I'd say maybe Mercy. The other hero that comes to mind is Lucio. Again, for mobility's sake, for having a defensive ult for when, like, let's say Junker Queen charges in, or when the Sojourn ults. You can do it against Junkrat Tyre if you time it well. And then speed boosting around your Ramatra, that I could maybe see as two alternate heroes to play in place of Ana. But Ana's not the worst pick in the world here. I'm not saying that. So let's dig into this and see what we get.
Scaling up. Taking care of you.
Okay, I'm a little concerned off of the aim already here. You're missing a lot of shots. If your aim isn't good, don't play Ana. And don't be afraid to use your scope to land some of these shots. There's no shame in a mid-range scoped shot from an Ana. your teammates aren't going to know you're scoping in to hit them. They're just worried about their health bar going back up. So the only time you really shouldn't be taking a scope shot is if you're kind of behind enemy lines, but you're still healing somebody. That scope shot leaves a trace, so you might point the enemy team to you, kind of a thing. That doesn't apply here, though, so don't be afraid to scope in a little bit. Now, I'd like to see that Kiriko cleanse your tank. Okay, good. Okay, good sleep. Ping it. Ping the Lucio so your team turns around, or communicate it in my chat. If you do that, we don't know it in the VOD review, but do something to get your team's focus on the Lucio. It's a free pick. Yeah, way too... Either your team didn't respond or you didn't communicate it. And then everything just goes left. And some of that is because Sojourn is just ridiculously still overpowered even after the latest nerf. Frankly, I'd like to see the Ana on the enemy team be Mercy, and then they just pocket the Sojourn, and then you keep the Lucio. But if you've got a Sojourn on your team and they're good, they need the Mercy pocket. It's too invaluable. Use your nades to anti the enemy team. Don't use them for this emergency healing that you're doing. It's a waste of your ability. You need to use it for an anti. They don't have Kiriko, so when you land a good anti, they can't do anything about it. But right now, you're bailing them out for not running Kiriko. Yeah, the second you see that Sojourn, you gotta get out of there. That Genji's also kind of on an overextend. They need to fall back, which is only so much you can do. And it's kind of more on the Kiriko to be healing that Genji than it is on you. Not saying it's not your responsibility either, but you'd like to see more of the Kiriko handling that one than you. But your team's just getting absolutely decimated by a Sojourn. And if you watch other VOD reviews that I've done where I've talked about the matchmaking, Sojourn is a big reason why the matchmaking is so terrible right now. And it's because I don't know if I want to get into this in this VOD review or not. I think I'll just hold off on that tangent. But yeah, right now your team is being Sojourn diffed, which isn't even necessarily your fault, but the Sojourn is heavily carrying this game at the moment. In terms of a support, there's really only so much you can do. You can try to pocket your DPS or your tank a little bit more on a different hero, like a Mercy, for example. But I mean, your aim on Ana needs a lot of work. You're missing a lot of shots. There you go. Now you're starting to use your scope, and now I'm seeing you actually land a few shots. Good ping. I like the ping. That needed to be higher up. That was a hard nade to land anyway, even if you did shoot it up a little higher. Try to save some of those for the more easier throws in the game. Like when they start getting clumped up, because again, they can't do anything about it. That's like, in terms of what you're capable of doing, that's basically your win condition. You landing antis in a good solid 5-on-5 team fight. Now, I mean, Baptiste died at least, so, and it looks like you've got your next nade, so let's see if you guys can take advantage of it here.
I see you.
Heal your Ramatra needs a little healing. There you go. Okay, you should be the one on the robot, not the Ramatra at this point. Like and at this point, call it out too. Like tell your team, move up, start like holding them at a choke or picking a fight moved up while you are the one pushing the robot. Either that or the Kiriko pushes the robot and you move up with the team, and then the Kiriko teleports to you guys once the fight starts, once you start losing handle of the healing side of things, because you'd be solo healing. But typically it's a support's job to be pushing the robot when the whole team is alive. So you'd like to see your team moving up here. Okay, so you got the right idea, but poor execution of it, because one, you're kind of throwing that nade blindly, and two, the team fight hasn't actually started yet. So let's say you landed that anti, and let's just say you got all three of them, which I don't think you got anybody, but let's just pretend you did. All they're going to do is just hide around the corner, wait until the anti clears, and then they're just going to re-engage, and that robot will not be at the point yet. So wait until they move up and actually are in a position where they're engaged and can't easily retreat super quick, and then throw the nade, because that was way too early. So your Ramattra has ult, wait until he ults, and then you nano him, and then let him just pump him full of heals. When you have a Ramattra on your team and the enemy team isn't running Rhine or some form of a hard shield to counter a Ramattra ult, you have to put, as a support player, you have to dedicate every resource to that Ramattra ult, because Ramatra's ultimate is one of the most oppressive ults in the game. I didn't say impressive, I said oppressive. So nano him. If Kiriko wants to use her ult to give him a speed boost, typically I like to play Lucio with Ramattra just to speed him around when he's ulting. But yeah, dedicate everything to that Ramattra when he ults, because outside of Junkrat Tire, they don't really have anything to deal with it. However, Junkrat Tire can hard counter a Ramattra ult. But they don't have it yet, so if you can get it off early enough to make it useful, this should be a one-team fight. But the fact that your Ramattra is playing so far back, I'm not hopeful for this. Because now it's almost looking like their Junkrat might have Tire by the time he ults. And this is what I talk about poor positioning. And this isn't on you, the Ana. This is on your team. Like, they didn't move up. They just are camping the robot as a team. And now it's allowing the enemy to pick a fight way further in than they needed to. Like, if your team picked the fight, if your team picked the fight right there by that choke, and then imagine the Ramattra ults and pushes in, and then you nano him and all that, this robot doesn't stall, this fight doesn't happen here, it happens back there, the robot keeps moving and all that, and this is poor positioning and bad play on your tank and your team. But frankly, they got to wait for the tank to pick the spot first, because if the DPS move up but the tank doesn't, then they might get picked. So it's really falling on your tank here. But as a support player, if this were me in this game, I'd have been screaming at that tank, move up and take space. This is what people mean when they say to a tank or to anybody taking space and making space. That's what that is. That this tank didn't do that. Okay, good sleep. I like it. The one thing I don't like... Okay, so... Oh, God. This is so mismanaged here. So, the Sojourn on your team, when they swapped... Who was that swapped? I don't remember who the other DP... Genji. It was Genji. So, the Genji swaps the Sojourn. And they hard carry it. I mean, they had like 3 kills. There's 3 people dead. And then you nano... Ramattra and Ramattra ults. That's 2 huge ultimates just completely wasted. You don't need to ult this. This is terrible. This is terrible on both you and the Ramattra. You should not overcommit to a bad ultimate, and there was no reason to nano when their whole team's basically dead. Like, you guys just wasted the hugest ult combination that is your win condition, and it's completely wasted. Let's fast forward until the next fight here. Well, that's not good. So yeah, I'm okay with taking a few pot shots up Arissa's butt there. But your tank is so far out of position here. Now, okay, he did get a pick though, but he's so far out of position that it's dangerous. I don't know if getting that pick is going to be worth it or not. I mean, granted, Sojourn is very oppressive in her own right. But yeah, I'd almost say for the Kiriko to go over there, but that might snowball in a negative direction. You really want to see that Ramatra backing out and then maybe then having the Kiriko go over to him, because overcommitting to that is not going to be good. And then on top of that, now the tire takes you out. This is probably a lost fight here. Yeah, this is very lost at this point.
You'll have to try harder than that.
So at this point, you guys need to regroup here. So yeah, wait for your team to respawn. You guys need to hold on. Okay, you're pretty much all together here. Might be missing one. Either that or they're behind you, but yeah, I don't know if there's a communication problem or if the tank just isn't very aware, or if he's just one of those guys that just thinks if he presses W the whole time, he'll win the game, or what the deal is. But this tank is very aggressive, and he's not getting the support he needs to be that aggressive, but he's not doing anything to make your life as a support player easier either. And that's where communication just comes in. But at the same time, I get it if you're telling him to and he gets ragey, or if you're trying to talk to him but he's not in voice chat, or you know what the deal is. Believe me, I get it. At this point, just die on the robot, contest it if you can, get a pick if you can, but just try to stall the robot as much as possible and die on it, because right now you're just kind of staggering yourselves, you and the Kiriko. Just engage on the robot though, so it stops moving, and just see what you can do, because right now you're just letting them move for free. You're not in a position to do anything. Okay, that Sojourn should have died. The fact that you couldn't finish them off, that's a poor play. Your aim needs a lot of work if you're going to be an Ana player, because there's no reason you don't scope in and finish that Sojourn off. That's poor. You gotta be able to finish that Sojourn off. The nade was fine, because you don't want the Sojourn getting healed and then just, whittling you down that way. So I'm fine with you using the nade that way, but you got to be able to finish that off. Just scope in and finish it. Don't move in. Don't make yourself an easier target. Just scope in, get the kill, and then from there work on the Baptiste that just came back. Again, bad nade. What were you trying to do with that? You're shooting half court, full court shot in the NBA there, and then on top of that, you're using that to heal people that you could just be using to anti instead, like here in a couple seconds. Heal your Sojourn. See, now we need your Kiriko. Where's your Kiriko at? See, and this is what I'm talking about again. Not you, but your team is playing too far up without core components of your team that would make you successful. When they get antied, they need the Kiriko there to cleanse it, but the Kiriko's not there. And some of that's because the tank and the Sojourn are playing too far up, and that again goes to communication. Like, they gotta just chill out and wait a little bit. I get that the robot's almost in your spawn at this point, and you're feeling the pressure and you need to get up there, but if you just get antied and die, what are you just not doing anything? Yeah, you're struggling way too much to hit that Sojourn. I get Sojourn's not an easy target, but Sojourn is your best opportunity to win games in Overwatch 2's current state. It's still, even after the nerf, it's still a broken hero. And Ramatra his ultimate is broken, and you're not doing anything to benefit either of those two heroes to be strong. You're missing so many shots on the Sojourn, and then the Ramatra in this case is kind of a bad player, but you're compounding it by nanoing at inopportune times. I mean, it only happened the one time, but like right here, honestly, I would just nano your Sojourn just because you can't hit them, and on top of that, you guys have to win this team fight. So I would just commit your nano to the Sojourn and see what they're able to do, because they're getting picks. They're not a bad player at Sojourn. We've already seen them carry one fight. Otherwise, your Ramatra's got ult, but at this point, I wouldn't. I'm really hoping your Ramatra doesn't ult here, because honestly, if you nano the Sojourn, they could probably just carry this fight enough where you could hold the Ramatra ult for the next fight, and then pair that with Kiriko, and that between the Kiriko and the Ramatra ulting, and then you just pumping the Ramatra full of heals, that should be enough to win the next fight, which would take you to basically about halfway, give or take a little bit. And that gives you an opportunity to make a comeback. Kind of a waste of a sleep dart, but I get it. You're, kind of pre-firing at a spot they might peek at. Okay, so... Oh, God. The Ramatra shouldn't have ulted here. All you guys need to win this is the Sojourn ultimate and the Ana. And I'm fine with you nanoing, but the Ramatra just... So I guess all you can do now is Kiriko and Sojourn ult at the same time for the next team fight after you guys win that one. Because if there's any more ults committed to this, you guys deserve to lose this game. And Kiriko wasted her ult. You guys deserve to lose this. This isn't even on you. This is just your team being poor. Like, they're just making poor decisions. That Kiriko ult was not needed. Oof. Where did that come from? Wow. Impressive shot. So the fight ended before it even began, really, which is unfortunate. I can't blame you for that, because I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't have been looking for a Widow there either. And on top of that even, it was an impressive shot. Slow it down. Sojourn needs heals. Bastion needs heals. Okay, so they're Roadhog now. At this point, you gotta... they're Roadhog and Kiriko, so all you can really do at this point is... What I would suggest doing is try to sleep the Roadhog first, and then see if you can get the Kiriko to bait out the E ability, and then from there you anti him. That's what I would try to do in your shoes here. And the reason I say that is, one, he's nanoed, so if you can sleep him, the nano doesn't really get much value. And then two, if you can get the anti off after the Kiriko uses their E ability, the anti should be more opportune to actually melting the Roadhog. And if you're a Kiriko player, for anybody watching, try to save your E abilities for when they're antied versus sleeps, but it's always a very circumstantial thing. But the rule of thumb that I tend to do when I play Kiriko is I try to save him for antis versus sleeps, but there's situations where you can't do that, and I don't look down on it too much when you make the decision to cleanse his sleep instead. But yeah, so that's a missed sleep. The fact that you're missing sleeps on Roadhogs is a concerning sign as well. That goes back to accuracy again. You might at this point, I'll say two things on this. If you have accuracy problems on Ana, then either go into a custom game, into like an aim training area, and really start to hammer in your aim on Anna, or Anna's just not going to be the hero for you. Because if you can't aim on Anna, what are you doing on Anna? It might sound harsh, but if you're missing these kind of things, Anna's probably best saved for somebody who can play it, or just getting on a different hero that has a different aim style, because maybe this aim style just isn't for you. You know, like how Lucio plays, you know, the aiming, you know, projectile and all that. It's just different. Because you're good on the bastions, you're good on the tanks, but like, look at that. Like, you're aiming even on hitting that Widow, it's all over the place, and you're missing by a mile. Like, shoot, I'm trying to stop this at like, yeah, look at that gap. Like, you're missing by so much there. I mean, there you shot one, like, look at that gap. Like, she's not even at that corner anymore, and you're shooting in the center of it. Like, your aim on this is just, like, Anna's not a hit scan, like, and you're shooting it like a hit scan. Like, if you're hip firing, you gotta lead the shots so that they hit. It's only when you're scoped in that I think there's even a slight delay when the shot is in a scope, but it's virtually hit scan at that point. Only problem is it leaves that trace, and then teams might hone in on that trace to know where you're at. But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, when you're hip firing, you got to lead these shots, and you're missing by a lot. And with Sojourn being as strong as they are, good anti. See, like, that's like the hero's already dead, and you just shot the sleep blindly. Granted, even if you hit it, it wouldn't have really mattered. The fight was won, but it's just a poor use of a strong ability. But with Sojourn being so strong in the game at the moment, if you can't support the strong, overpowered heroes in the game that will carry you to victories, you gotta reassess your playstyle so that you can support these heroes. So now your sleep dart hit whatever that thing is, the pamphlet holder or whatever, and then on top of that, you're backing up into them so that you're frontlining them. Like, let's go back here.
2-minute warning. My ultimate is ready.
Like, the front line is right where you're looking. Like, that's gonna be the front line. Like, you need to get on the other side of the robot, because what was the front line turned into the back line, and what was the back line turned into the front line, but you're just looking at them and frontlining it. Now, it would be nice to see the Ramatra pop up a shield to protect you or something, but regardless, your positioning here, poor. And then that was just not good either. Like, I wouldn't even be all that mad at you, like, well, not mad, but I wouldn't be criticizing if, like, your sleep went, like, right in there. And even if it missed, at least it had the opportunity to hit. But, like, the fact that it's hitting here, like, you're not even giving yourself an opportunity to land your shot. Now, that's a good anti, but why do you keep backing up and presenting yourself for an easy pick? And then on top of that, the Ramatra does finally put the shield up. It's not the greatest shield, but at least there's one there, but you're in no position to utilize it.
You're falling apart.
The only reason you're not dead is the enemy's inability to aim and hit you. You should be dead. Maybe you still will be, I don't know, but you should have died there. Okay, you did still die there. It just took longer than I thought it would have. But yeah, that death is completely on your positioning.
We need that robot back.
And even if you backed up, why not go into here and then regroup with your team with where they were with the robot? Like, you're just standing out in the open. Like, you did have another option of going in there and hiding and, you know, getting back and, you know, kind of wiggling around so that you're hard to hit and you you get back in there, get with your team, get with your tank and so forth, but you just kind of stood out in the open and back up just a little bit here.
2 minutes remaining. 60 seconds remaining.
So, if you're gonna nade, you're nading here blindly. You don't know what's over there. You know there's a soldier right here, and you're gonna have to duel him. Why not anti him, freak him out, or you could sleep him if your aim is good enough to hit it. And then you could just move up and ignore him and then just call it out. You like ping it when he slept so the team knows. But that honestly, one of those two things or both of those things would have been the play there. Like, but either sleeping or dueling the soldier, and you need that nade for doing that if unless you land your sleep right away. But that nade is just blindly being thrown and it's not going to hit anything. If you were to throw it in a way to heal, then why not at the bastion?
You're powered up. Get in there.
Okay, good. You landed that sleep. Now don't wake him up because you've already lost the team fight. Unless this Ramatra can do something here. Yeah, you woke him up. Why? What was... Like, you're down a bastion and you slept the soldier. That makes the team fight even for a little bit. Enough for you guys to get a pick. So when the soldier wakes up, then it's still a 4-on-4. But you just wake him up and die to him, which is just pointless. Put heal song on. Yeah, you lost your wall ride and you became easy to hit.
Stop their barricade. Overtime.
This is our last chance to stop them.
Kind of same thing again. You got grounded on Lucio and then you died. But I mean, at this point, it's kind of a lost game anyway, and you're just hoping you can just contest and hold an overtime push or something.
Crank up the game.
Push it all the way now.
If you guys are to somehow win this, how is there 2 minutes left in this? Oh my god. Well, minute and a half basically. But if you guys are going to somehow pull this out in any way, I think the Ana needs to come back for the Roadhog. Personally, going against Roadhog without an Ana is going to be difficult. It's not impossible. I borderline on Kiriko and Lucio one-tricking, and if I don't have an Ana next to me, I don't oftentimes go to Ana anyway out of stubbornness of my playstyle. But when I see that situation, in the back of my mind, I know we need the Ana, and you need the Ana here. This Roadhog is going to be a problem. It's good that you got Orisa and Bastion, though. That's going to help. But I feel like finding an excuse to get to a spawn and get back on Ana is going... Like, what are you doing here? What is this? You're asking to die. Alright, at least you fell back. Now, this amp is pointless. Oh, wait, you're speeding them forward. Okay, wait a minute. I might take that back.
Start with the robot and not fail.
Yeah, I don't really like that amp. I don't think that amp was needed.
How's that for out there?
I probably saved that amp for healing. Maybe speeding in a certain situation, but more for healing. Considering the circumstances of this game and the team comps and that kind of a thing. Your team's a little on the low healing side. Though you do got good armor with the Orisa and the Bastion, but this Roadhog's going to not die unless the Bastion can really carry. If the Bastion can carry on the Roadhog, and the Sojourn can carry on the Squishies, and you guys can keep them going, I could maybe see an interesting comeback here, but this Roadhog is going to be the big issue. Switch to Healing Song, yep. Don't get picked by that Widow. That Widow's looking for you. Oh, maybe not. Maybe they're looking for somebody else. Oh, see, and the Sojourn got him, so alright. That's good. Don't... Okay, you're going way too far up here. You need to keep distance from this Roadhog. You're asking to get hooked and killed. You're lucky that didn't happen, but... You should be staying with the robot at this point. Like, just push the robot by yourself. Let the Kiriko do her own thing. Yeah. That Orisa moved up too far, which has been par for the course of this whole game. So, alright. What that Orisa should have done is waited, because, alright, you guys are in overtime and you're pushing the robot. They have to come to you. So when they come to you, that's when the Orisa ults. You should use that as a defensive ult to clear the robot. Not dive into them and then ult, and the healers can't heal them because, I mean, the Kiriko could have, I suppose, but unless you had beat drop, you can't really do anything for that. So it's poor tank play again is basically what it is. You guys were in a position to maybe do something here, but
If we stop them, we can still win.
yeah, the DPS were in a position to carry the game if they got a little bit more from the supports, but the tank was really a net negative to the team. So aim. I'm just going to say SD for sleep dart. Your sleep dart usage was pretty poor. 3 nades from afar. Closer nades. Use them more for anti-ing, not for healing. Not saying don't ever heal with them, but try to focus more on anti-healing versus, you know, bonus healing for your team. And I'm going to give you a 4th. Over commit to 1 fights. That nano to the Ramatra and then the Ramatra ulting when the fight was already won, those should have been saved for the next fight so that you could, like, you gotta think about ulting and win conditions for each fight on a push map and when to use your ultimates. Overwatch is a chess game, and when you overcommit on a particular move, then you got nothing for the next fight, and then they just come in and kill you. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.